Arjun is in a miserable position. That is not the position of Arjun, the person. That is the situation of entire mankind. That is the conflict that we all face daily, every day. So first of all, it is not about Arjun and Krishna. It is not about two persons. Arjun and Krishna are both within us. Krishna is not standing in front of Arjun. Krishna is the heart of Arjun.
Nimisha has quoted Kabir, and she is saying, "Dearest Acharya ji, my deepest pranams." In the following verse, Kabir ji says, "Kabir man to ek hai, bhave tahan lagao, bhave guru ki bhakti karun, bhave vishay kamao." She says, "Bhakti, love and longing come more naturally to me than trying to understand things intellectually." However, most scriptures also mention that having Vairagya or dispassion in one's conduct is very important. Can Bhakti and Vairagya go hand in hand? Can Bhakti at some point act as an impediment to move deeper? Deeply grateful, yours truly, Nimisha. Welcome, Nimisha. Can Bhakti and Vairagya go together? They will necessarily go together. They cannot but go together. They must be together. If they are not together, then neither is true. What is bhakti? Bhakti is to see and say that only that is real, worthy, lovable. Only that. And that's what all the devotees are always doing. Talking of that in the most beautiful of ways, in the most loving of ways. And they sing of their longing for that. Why do they long for that? Because only that is worthy of being reached. And they talk of themselves as feeble, unworthy, servants, unimportant ones, beings full of all kinds of vikars, distortions. They see no value in themselves. Value lies elsewhere. Value lies in the truth. And if value lies there, then this little feeble creature must surrender himself to that. Not only must he reach there, he prays that on my own I cannot even reach you. I am so very feeble and misdirected. Even to reach you, I require your blessings and support. Even to know where I must reach, I require your loving touch. That's the state of the Bhakt. Right? Right? And if the Bhakt says, I am a nobody, then what will he say about his choices, opinions, thoughts, possessions, relationships? He will say, they are all
yours.
Unworthy, first of all. Unworthy. Because all the worth he sees as centered and contained in that. If all the worth lies there, then what is the value of my gatherings and, accumulations and opinions and thoughts and such things? Right? That which he holds about himself is called Vairagya. The Bhakt places all the value in that. And if all the value is there, then all that which I am and I have is meaningless and valueless. This is Vairagya. All that which I have is Meaningless and valueless, and all the meaning and all the value is in you, my Lord, in you. In me there is nothing. This is called Vairagya. So Bhakti and Vairagya will always go together. Do not think that the Bhakts longing and pining for God is a kind of rag. No, it is not. Even when the Bhakt is intensely associated with God and the worship of God, it is still not rag, it is still Vairagya. You must understand the difference between rag and samarpan. Rag is attachment. Samarpan is devotion. You can have rag only for that which is in your own dimension. You can have rag only when you are confident of your choices. And when you are associated by way of rag with something, then your choice is meant to bolster you, not dissolve you. With God, you cannot have rag. Even if the bhakt's behavior towards God sometimes appears like a lover's behavior, an ordinary lover's behavior, it must still not be considered as rag. Because God really is never in the same dimension as you are. Because attaining to Godhood would not fill you up. It would rather dissolve you, diminish you, eliminate you. It is therefore not rag. When you are moving towards God and God only, it is supreme Vairagya.
Acharya ji, is it that the devotion leads the Vairagya? Like, is it one leading the other?
They are parallel. They are parallel. And if you must ask which of them comes first, God comes first. Always.
Because my question, because it is easy to see the yearning or the devotion from time to time through the day, but the Vairagya is not so easy to see.
Because the evening is not yet full. Because the evening is not yet full. When you are really crying aloud for something, go back to those days. Do you even remember to eat? You have then Vairagya even for food, because you are full of yearning. Similarly, when you will be full of yearning for God, then you will forget everything else. That is Vairagya. Have you ever seen a very melancholy person? And he is crying aloud. And his whole life seems to be teary. Does he remember to take 3 meals a day? Does he do that? He is beating his chest, and does he suddenly get up and say, lunchtime, where is the food? Does that happen?
No.
Similarly, have you ever seen a missionary? He has been totally possessed by his mission. He is now breathing his destination. He is nothing, his consciousness is nothing but full of his destination. Now, does he remember to get involved in the sundry things of life? Does he? He even becomes irregular with the daily chores of life. Even his sleep and food. And daily activities can become irregular. You go and ask him, have you taken a bath? And he will say, wait, there is something more important that I am busy with. When your mission or your melancholy fill you up completely, then you forget. The little bits around you. But they must first fill you up totally. And the more they fill you up, the more you see how little are the little things around you. How will you call something little except by way of comparison with God? It's only when you compare something to God that you see its littleness. Otherwise things appear very prominent and important, don't they? You say, this thing is so very important to me, how do I give it up? And things are indeed important when compared to each other. Things are indeed very, very important when one thing is compared against another thing. Then they appear humongously important. It's only when you compare a thing to truth itself that you see how shabby and pitiable and little it is. And then you are prepared to, come on, move beyond this. I don't want to stay contained in this. Unless you have God as the benchmark, the world will keep on appearing significant and important to you. Because the world is indeed important. Compared to your little house, the Taj Mahal is so very prolific, is it not? Because things are being compared to each other. And now one thing will surely come across as shining and valuable, purely because the other thing is less shiny and less valuable. That's how duality deceives us. God is the eliminator of all duality. He is the incomparable one. Who sinks all others in comparison. Which must drop you a hint. Whenever you have to determine the worth of something, ask yourself, how important is this compared to the
God.
truth? Full stop. If you will ask how important is this compared to that, then either this or that will come up as relatively important and you will be deceived. So don't ask how important is this compared to that. Ask yourself, how important is this compared to my deep, deep melancholy? How important is this compared to my great, great mission? Let your mission, let your melancholy be the benchmark. Except that, no yardstick is real or beneficial. Getting it? Let God keep filling you up. Only then will you see the littleness of the stuff about you. If God is not there, then everything else becomes so important. And God is a benevolent possessor. He possesses you and then sets you free. Once He has totally occupied you, He says, now go and play around with all the little things that are there. Kindly don't imagine God as a possessive husband or somebody who will not allow you to mingle with outsiders. When you are totally surrendered to Him, then you get the most absolute of freedoms. Now you are free to play with the little. Now you are free to dwell in the ephemeral, in the mortal, in the unreal. God won't take your little toys away. He will show them up as little and then tell you, now you may keep playing with them. Now that you know that they are just little toys, you may keep playing. He will not snatch away your toys, so don't be worried. It's just that your doll is just a doll. God is to realize that your doll is just a doll. Now you may keep the doll. Keep the doll. As long as you remember that it is just a doll. Don't let the doll mean too much to you. Don't let the doll become your world. Don't let the doll become a substitute of God. The doll is nice, keep it. It's a doll, full stop. There are so many people who are afraid of spirituality. Why? He will take away my doll. He won't. He has no place or space or liking for your dolls. What will he do with your dolls? You are his doll. What will he do with the doll of the doll? Chill. Your little sand castle is not under threat. You may have it. You may maintain it. Obviously, for as long as it lasts. There are so many. Kids come here. And their parents are absolutely sure that they have lost them. Kundan was telling me yesterday, on the night of open sessions, he necessarily receives 10 or 20 calls. Now the fellow has just come to attend a session. He has not even gone off to a camp. He is at Bodhsthal, attending a session. And Acharya ji is in his own flow, oblivious of time. So the clock is striking 11 now. And the audience is not prepared to move. Acharya ji has said, if you want to go home, you may go home. But still so many are staying put. And Kundan's phone is ringing ceaselessly. Why aren't you releasing my husband? Why aren't you releasing my husband? And Kundan says, because he is yet to complete his term. If you have already declared that he is in a jail, then you already know when he would be released. When he would be released? When his term would be completed. That's why all the phones are accumulated and kept aside. What do you think? They interfere with the recording. That's why we keep them. None of that. If you keep the phones with you, then it's only to the phones that you listen. Underlying all this is the assumption that truth will destroy your world. Do you see that? Husbands are worried that wives won't return. Wives are sure they have lost their husbands. Parents don't want to let go of their kids. Oh, the kid is in a bar, that's all right. The kid is spending night in a disco, that too is acceptable. For 4 days the kid runs away with his girlfriend and has a gala time in the hills, that is okay. But if he comes to the hills to read the scriptures, then the parents are devastated. You may have the worst of tendencies that will be acceptable to your sand castle mates. The husband is a drunkard, that is okay. But if the husband is a devotee, that is just not okay. The kid is on drugs. Fine, that's cool. He's just living his age. He's just being himself. But if the kid is on scriptures, Papa gets a heart attack. What? He was found with an Upanishad. Has it come to this? Has my son fallen so low? I had never imagined I'll have to deal with an Upanishad in my house. Lokesh is finding it difficult to get a wife. if he talks sensuality, if he talks sex, if he plays street smart, so many girls would come to him. But the fellow has gotten into the bad habit of talking scriptures. Now he has trouble from all sides. The ego has to somehow justify staying away from truth, right? Because it costs a lot to stay away from truth. It's an expensive affair to deny the truth. You have to somehow justify that expense. And the justification is the truth will ruin me, and that's why I am staying away from the truth. It's a false justification. The truth does not ruin you. The truth ruins only your diseases. And that's good news.